Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Allison Bowles. I'm the Director of Learning and Engagement here at the Conrad, and I'm so happy to welcome you to our first open rehearsal of SummerFest 2025. Today, we get to hear Shostakovich's Piano Quintet in G minor, Opus 57, with these lovely artists here. Do you all want to take a moment to introduce yourselves?
Hi, everybody. My name is Nathan Meltzer. I'm a violinist from New York. This is my first time at La Jolla, and it's amazing to be here.
Morning, everyone. My name is Njioma Grevious. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. This is my second time here at SummerFest, and yeah, it's just great to be back. I love San Diego. And La Jolla.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Swensen. I'm a cellist. This is my second time here. And I'm from Copenhagen originally. My dad's from New York, but I grew up in Copenhagen and also lived in Boston actually the past 4 years and just moved back to Europe about a year ago. Nice to meet you.
I'm Stephen Osborne. I'm from Scotland. This is my first time at SummerFest, although I've been in La Jolla once before for a recital. I tried to find the seals yesterday, but I failed.
Hi, I'm Matt Lipman. I play the viola. This is my third time here. I'm from Chicago originally, but I've lived in New York now for about 15 years. But my aunt lives in Poway, so I guess there's, a connection.
Awesome. Well, welcome, everyone. Thank you. So the Piano Quintet closes tomorrow's concert titled Emergence, which features works that really help to catapult the careers of the composers. The Piano Quintet has proven to be very popular with audiences through the years, and it's one of Shostakovich's more appealing and straightforward works. So a few housekeeping reminders before we get started. Please take a moment to silence all electronic devices and locate the nearest emergency exit, keeping in mind that it may be behind you. As a reminder, this is a real working rehearsal for these musicians, and their time is precious to them. You can support them by doing your best to remain quiet and avoid talking during the next 45 minutes or so. If you need to leave, please feel free to do what you need to do and exit. I'll be back for the last 10 minutes or so of our time to take questions. So please think about questions and keep them in mind, and we'll have a nice conversation with the artists following the rehearsal. So the stage is yours. Please enjoy.
At the beginning is a good place to start.
Yeah. A very good place to start.
I was wondering if we could, the bars after 14, especially from maybe we could shape it a little bit more, so it doesn't stay in the same, because I feel like the air sort of deflates a little bit, and maybe we could allow it to do so, even though he doesn't write anything. It's not necessarily a exactly much quieter dynamic, but maybe a slightly calmer feeling or something like that, so we can grow in agitation again when we come to the top notes in 15.
I think we can probably utilize whenever there's this kind of like scale, the ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-dum, that there's kind of a dip before that starts. So like the bar before 15, da-da-da-yum, da-da-da-da-da-dum, and then we don't have to saw away that scale up until like the E flat.
Perhaps that's a general thing.
As a general thing,
I could use that personally in the beginning, like basically the second bar of 1. Maybe from you guys I loved the energy in the beginning, but it just kind of calms a little bit down, or a tiny bit less gravity or something like that in the bow.
Tempo at the beginning and 13. I was only at 13. Am I pushing it a bit much?
I like the beginning.
I like 13.
Perfect.
Is 12 too slow though? Does it get old?
I really don't think so.
Okay, no.
No,
I wonder if it could still. Maybe we could have more fun with it's not a hemiola, but the offbeat of the change. Da 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 ya da da, like a little bit more of a circular thing, as opposed to just like.
It does feel quite strongly innate, I think.
Yeah.
Da 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 da. There's some resistance, but then so it's.
We found a good way of doing it, because it should still feel slow, but it should feel in 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like kind of in this.
Right lento as well. So
Kind of like in the Ionescu, the ba-da wada 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 wada, where it kind of just feels like it's spilling over as opposed to wailing.
Should we just do that from 10 first and then go back to the beginning?
Yes.
Nathan, I'm wondering maybe a bit less time at the little writ.
Okay, sure.
I think you can just connect it.
As if it's connected in some way.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and 7, could we just be a little bit more vigilant about getting the sound cleared by the end of the bar?
For my slide.
Yes.
I also thought, I wonder if we can do a slightly shyer little hairpin in our thing after 6. Like it felt like a very healthy. Maybe it could be a little more restrained.
Okay.
But yeah, should we start 10?
Yeah, let's do, actually, can we do 9 first? Or like from 9, just to get.
Can it dig in more on the...
I think the releasing the bow the same way for both down and up is what is making it sound in 8. And I kind of like that we're backwards, that we're doing the sync up on a down, but I think there's probably a variety of bow speed towards the tip that would make it sound more in 4, if that makes sense. So instead of It's kind of nice that it's like increasing the speed to the tip.
Crescendo into Kim's neck release.
Yeah, because I mean the obvious thing to do would be the opposite, obviously, right? But that kind of makes it more square. Something like that.
We just do us at 12.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of sounding about da-da-da-da-da-da, like they're all
It sounds a
separate
little bit
things.
too much
Yeah.
like that, but I
Bit
really
mannered.
like the feel.
So that, but more sustained.
Like as if it's part of this long line,
Yeah.
da-da-da-da-da-da, it goes on.
Maybe the separate notes can, without it being accents, just speak like a little bit more, so that there's this. Without, I think it would be nice if it speaks even more, because then there will come more resistance without necessarily playing slower as such. Just more with the bow. I wonder if like, can it not? That's of course exaggerated, but I do think they should change a little bit
What?
according to
Yeah.
the harmony of where we are somehow. And playing to
Yeah, should we just do the strings though from that third bar of 12?
yeah.
The first note. So is that the very first note? Of the
That's
bar?
on the very first.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
Can we
where's
build
the...
that chord?
Nathan, can we do just me and you there?
So this is the last beat.
Could we try this a touch quicker, just as an experiment? I mean, if I was doing it myself, isn't it? Something like that. Does that feel too easy?
No. Sounds good.
Let me try it.
Sounds much better, actually.
Okay, just be a piano.
Yeah.
Got it.
The motto of this piece. It was in the chord for me.
Yeah, it was the right note.
So much resonance.
The machines don't like Shostakovich. Okay, let's try again.
that last note, you're completely anonymous. So sort of,
Oh, okay.
you to attack together, but then no sense that there's any
Okay.
point in the release.
Yeah.
It's just so you can get the mute on
Yes.
quietly, I think.
There's so much vertical in this piece. I'm wondering if the second bar of 15 we can really sing through those quarters
I am
instead of
feeling extremely
emphasizing
vertical.
all of them.
So you think this a bit more
I
line?
think a little
Let's
bit,
try that.
but same for us here.
I was thinking of your tanks. Maybe just
Yeah, there's something interesting that at 12, like our rate of change is pretty significantly faster than what, Stephen, you're doing at 12, and you don't have the slurs on dum bum bum bum. So maybe there's a bit more edge, or at least like longer, faster shape.
But let's see how it feels if it's a bit more line at 15. Do you go directly?
Can we go from 14 if possible?
Yeah. Sure.
I wonder if the chord can be a little bit like rolled more somehow into 14.
Can we do the 3 before that?
Yes, good idea.
Or
13.
13. The entries are often a tiny bit late, and it's all this real surge, not getting faster, but just
Yeah.
this kind of unstoppable
Yes,
kind of.
like weirdly like relentless but objective, like always in time.
Yeah, can we try that?
Yeah.
What can we? I'm also curious what would it sound like if our Fs before 14 weren't as marked, and we just held down the fort while the piano was going down this chromatic, but it builds tension that way as opposed to like.
One more time.
Yeah.
I think it's too short, possibly. I'm kind of counting on bar before. Yeah. I'm kind of like thinking of counting in the tempo of the last 2 beats of
Yeah.
bar before.
I mean, it keeps written.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
first.
Right.
Through the last chord.
Yeah.
The
And then
note
the piano
ends when
holds
we
over.
run out of.
And then the piano holds over, and then.
Yeah.
I actually think what I think might do more when I was searching for that, like kind of slight deflating the energy. I think it's more just reacting on harmony in the piano somehow, and reacting on the shaping of that until.
Yeah, I do think there's a difference when the string players are in unison, and we find the energy to go up a step. It feels like a significant achievement, and then we get stuck on Fs or whatever the note is. Like, I do think there's a difference between. I like what you said about when it doesn't change, but when it does change, I missed that like need to go up a step. Right?
Can we try one more thing with like upbeat to 14 and just maybe exaggerate the shaping and reacting a little bit just for experimentation?
Can I ask, how did it feel at 15? Like a little more line. Did you like that?
I
Or?
liked it this way, especially because we're going to bring
Yeah.
back the vertical energy the last two
Okay.
bars
Yeah.
in the.
And it's also a crazy long line, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Fine.
kind of.
13 again?
Yeah, one more time.
I really love the philosophy of, like, it takes effort to change notes.
They
Yes.
changed something.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Because then there's something, like, there's an urge right before note changes that was really nice.
Could there be somehow a little more like kind of feeling at the bar after 15 in the chromatic notes going down?
Yeah.
A little bit more kind of pathetic or something.
The other thing that's cool about Shostakovich, I mean, this is an opinion. I don't know if this is founded on anything, but you know, the idea of harmony in a traditional sense, like he doesn't use harmony the way that we expect it,
Yeah.
but the layering of intervals that make up, I'm trying to make this make sense, make harmonies that we recognize. I do think that we should react to the harmonies the way that we hear them, right? Even though it's not 151, it's like it's actually counterpoint that's kind of implying certain harmonies, and sometimes there's a shade of positivity or rub or whatever. Right? Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I think second movement, that's even more obvious in that.
I don't know, it's a little bit more.
Should we go on?
Can we do some second movements?
And now for something completely different.
Yes. Should we do the 13-minute version or the 6-minute version?
What's that?
Maybe it was the first recording, but Shostakovich made a recording of this with the Beethoven Quartet in 1940, and this movement lasts 13 minutes because they do it so slowly. I mean,
It's cool though.
it gets tiring. I would actually love to try out a few bars before getting the Yataka. Maybe just two?
I'm sorry, from where?
Just 2 bars before the second one?
Yeah. your piano, everyone else is pianissimo, I think, and then you also have this crescendo. What would it be like if it is actually a little solo? Would it be weird?
That's true.
I mean, I wouldn't pass that up.
Would we try it?
I was just thinking just a tiny thing, which is those 2 bars before 18. I wondered if you two could continue each other's lines a little bit more. So not exactly that the 8th note is longer, but either you come in sooner or the 8th note is just like teeny tiny bit longer.
Could I actually propose a counter argument?
Yes?
That this 3-note thing isn't one line, but it's the fugue statement interrupting itself.
Okay.
Because we also have the hairpins.
Right.
So I'm wondering what we tried if we more just kind
Could that be more intentional in that case?
butted against each other.
Yeah, I think it needs more depth
Yeah.
in the middle of the slur.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you could also get the sense that they're separate, but not that there's gaps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Can we just see what that feels like?
So can I just say one more thing, which is like just around there's a danger that the volume just gradually rises. So every entry is pianissimo.
Yes.
So when you're not playing the theme, to really be a
Yes,
bit
if you
ghostly.
could really go down in 18, like, really ghost-like.
Yeah, because I could see Jonathan feeling like you had to get a bit louder.
I would love to play pianissimo. Yeah.
Me too. Fortunately, it's
Maybe it could be a relative thing, so you guys play 4 Ps at 18 or something like that.
5 Ps at 19.
Can we just do 17? Is that okay?
all of 17. Would you like to?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's okay.
Yeah. Do my pickup.
Sorry to interrupt. Maybe we should try to. Because I know the other day you had mentioned non-vib, like from 16, and then we warm it up like a couple
Little
before
much later.
20.
Yeah.
But maybe, I actually think it sounds nice with a little bit of vib, like when you have it. But maybe the secondary voices can just make sure that we do less. So like you can stay as expressive as you were at 18, but maybe we can like tone it down a teeny.
Okay.
I mean, like, also, like, is it, correct me if I'm wrong or if you disagree, but like, Njioma, when you enter and it's just the two of you, it's actually quite dark. Like the way that the voices interact. When Jonathan comes in, there's like a hint of hope.
It's different. Yeah.
It's totally different, right? So I think it would make sense exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did we feel about a couple of bars before 18?
I thought it was beautiful.
I love that.
I love that thing.
Okay,
That was
yeah.
really nice. Yeah.
If there's one thing I learned from that Shostakovich and Beethoven super slow recording, they were very separate in there.
Right, okay.
And I did like it.
It felt very
you did your
flexible
homework.
and
I did my homework.
you were commenting on each other somehow. I liked it.
Should we just do 2 or 3 before 18?
Yeah, I can do my pick up to 3 before.
I love it.
I love that.
Yeah, actually.
That felt really nice.
I'm kind of amazed that this bar before 22, like our minor second kind of function that's like a suite, kind of like. So all.
And I have the hairpin alone. It's nice with those
Yeah.
things. There's these things in the parts where people have different dynamics or hairpins at different times, and it's really cool when that comes out from the individual player. Yeah. Do you like the slight warming I do the bar before 21?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before
Warming
Matt's
up.
solo.
Oh yeah.
That's a viola joke. Should we just keep going?
Yeah.
Maybe get the.
We don't need the piano solo there. Maybe a bar before 23. How's the tempo for you, Matt? I was wondering when you came in if you wanting it a tiny bit more moving.
Did you sense that?
Yeah, I was conflicted as to whether to say anything because I really like the tempo, but is there
Did
some
it bother you?
No, I was more wondering how bothered you were.
No, I'm not. I do think by the time that it gets kind of busy, when there's a lot of stuff going on, I feel like there needs to be more motion in the sound itself, regardless of tempo. Like when Nathan plays by himself, it's essentially timeless, right? When it's a duo, it's super sinewy and it could be any tempo. But by the time there's four of us, I do think there's more air, possibly.
Maybe then it could be prepared maybe slightly for the da-da-da-da-da, the before 19, just have in mind that there's something slightly more alive.
Okay.
I also have one tiny. I don't think you need to say. I felt like you were waiting a tiny bit for me on the bar before or into 21, but I don't think that's necessary.
No, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not taking time. I'm just trying to change the color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can we
we-
do a little before
yeah.
19?
Since we only have a few minutes, let's try to finish the piece.
Yeah.
Should we keep going after this? Okay.
How many before 19?
2 before?
I think it's too extreme.
Before 19?
Yeah.
Oh, were we gonna go on?
I think
were
maybe
gonna
it's
go.
something we have to do in
sorry.
context to see what 19 feels like.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be hard to just pick it up.
2 before 19.
Maybe before 23? Or was there anything else to rehearse?
Oh.
Why don't we keep going for now?
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Bar before 23?
Yes.
We should just pick it up right there. This crescendo is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've been so soft for so long, and it gets heated so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we just do red on 25?
Can we do 2 bars before, and can we not crescendo until 25?
Yes.
I got really excited.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'll do that.
Just
Might
red
be
on
fine.
2 before.
Oh, two
Yeah,
before.
two
Okay,
before.
go.
Thank
Yeah. Is that upbeat can be a little bit like a commonly sharper. Bum.
Respectfully, I don't think we should lift the bow. Just
We
leave
do it
on the
together.
string.
I'm also.
Yeah,
I just
nice.
think more the rhythm. Yeah, absolutely. Nice.
You should sample that for a horror film.
Yeah.
So,
I also
Sorry.
wonder. I don't play this. I wonder if 29 can have a bit of a feeling of kind of moving forward and like with the hairpins.
I think it makes sense.
And
I think
then
it makes sense.
30 kind of like declares it back into the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if we go forward, which I like, Jonathan's cadenza can take us back.
Jonathan's cadenza?
Yeah.
Go
Right,
go
so
forward
what-
throughout all of this.
Basically, what I'm saying is we can
Okay,
get
yeah.
fast, and it still makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe 3 before 29, it would make sense if it's already slightly loosening up then,
Yeah.
because that's when the triplets
The
start.
triplets, yeah, exactly. You know, going back to this crescendo, I feel like it's like 1, 2. It's the third bar of 25. The counterpoint between you two, it really turns dark,
Yeah.
right? It really turns
Is it 3 before 25?
third bar of 25.
Oh yeah, like instantly.
Right.
Yeah.
I still think that can be more
Yeah, it can be more.
extreme.
But at the same time, there needs to be room for you coming in as the.
Yeah,
main
but like
voice.
the color, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since we only have a few minutes left, do we want to play the third movement for fun?
oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know.
What time is it? Is
'Cause I think
it's
we-
actually 1:45.
Should we just play
Right
through
now.
the third movement
Do we
Yeah.
want to just?
Sure.
and just
And
see
then
how it goes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now for another scene change.
Yeah.
Let's
Do you want to introduce the third movement? Does that
No.
make sense?
just gonna.
This is the like this movement could go on Shostakovich's like gravestone. Like this is the most like Shostakovich-y,
Quintessential.
quintessential Shostakovich.
Have I come in at okay time? It sounded beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, I'm happy to say the questions if you can use your best projection to call them out. Yeah, we'll start right here.
So are you a quartet?
Today
So
we
the
are.
question is, are they a quartet?
No, I mean, in general, you travel as a quartet.
Right. Are you an established group that travels as a quartet?
We aren't. We met, I mean, we know each other through various previous festivals and such, but we're all freelance musicians and we met for this festival and have been put together in this group, luckily. Yeah. Yeah.
Great question. Yes.
How many rehearsals have you already had before today?
How many rehearsals have you already had before today?
I think just two.
Yeah, this is number 3.
This is number 3, and then you'll have a dress rehearsal tomorrow,
Right.
and then they take the stage. So, yes.
The first violinist there, that electronic music sheet, I noted you have some sort of pencil device connection on that.
So the question is, for Nathan, you have your iPad there or some electronic device and some kind of pencil. What can you do with that?
Yeah, it's an Apple Pencil, so you can write with it, and then if you double tap the top, you can erase with it. But yeah, it's a pencil for the iPad. Yeah.
You know, I do it the old-fashioned way, with my finger.
Yeah, me too.
Half the time I don't even know what I wrote because it's just like scribble, scribble.
And what about you, Stephen? You haven't made the transition to iPad.
Yeah, there's a connection between the fact that I'm the only one with music and I am the oldest member of the group. I'm a bit of a Luddite with these things. And I don't trust the iPads. At least if you have a bad page turner, you still have some control. But if the iPad decides it's going to have a holiday, then, I don't know what you do.
Yes.
Who decides what you're going to play and how did you land on this?
The question is, who decides what you're going to play and how did you land on this work?
That's a good question.
I can help answer that if you'd like. So our summer festival is actually curated by Inon Barnatan. He's our SummerFest music director, and he works closely with La Jolla Music Society's artistic director, Leah Rosenthal, and her team. And Inon he actually spoke last night in a pre-concert interview that his process, he has kind of a hidden list on his phone of works that he would love to program in the festival. And so sometimes he draws from that. Sometimes there's suggestions from musicians that he's invited to the festival. Other times, he's concertizing and traveling as a musician and is turned on to a piece by something that he's playing or a concert he's playing. And once he kind of identifies some sort of pillars of the festival, then he programs around those and hand selects artists to play on each work. So that's why the group formed today. And yeah, so it all kind of comes together. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this work is part of the concert tomorrow titled Emergence. And so it really fits well into the theme of that concert, which ties into the festival's theme of milestones and looking at sort of turning points and breakthroughs at different stages of an artist's life. I hope that answered the question. Yeah, in the back.
How long have you guys been playing music for?
Great question. How long have you each been playing music for?
Yeah, we can go around.
22 years.
I've played for 20 years. Yeah, since I was 8.
21. Oh, no, you
You make me feel really old. About 50 years.
21 years for me.
Yeah. And I also started when I was 8, so I'm at 17 years now.
Yes, in the red shirt. What is a hairpin?
Good question.
Okay, so
Hairpin.
it's actually a good question even amongst musicians, what is a hairpin? Because it sometimes means different things. But often a hairpin is like, we also call it crocodile beaks, but it looks like this.
Who calls it that?
The Danish thing.
It's a Danish thing, I'm sorry. Yeah. But it's when the sound grows and decays within a short amount of time.
Crescendo, diminuendo.
Yeah. However, in Brahms's writing, it's also very often something to do with the timing of the phrase, that it is somehow not exactly a straightly timed phrase, but that there is some kind of inflection in the middle of the hairpin. Yeah.
But I think it's just called that because of what the crescendo diminuendo looks like.
Yeah.
It just looks like hairpins.
And then there's like
Yeah.
an inverted hairpin,
Yeah.
just like that.
Awesome. Do we have a question over here?
We have a two-part question, and thank you for your music.
Thank you.
How did you learn how to play this piece?
Yes.
The second question is, how do you interpret, what do you listen to, and how far do you, go from some original translation of a piece into how you decide to be inspired?
Yes. So this question, first off, thank you for the music. And then how do you play the piece? And then how do you interpret the piece?
I could talk to you for 30 minutes about that or more. That's a fantastic question, because there has been a tradition in classical music in past decades that essentially there's a right way and a wrong way of playing music, and essentially the right way is what the teacher thinks, unfortunately. Basically, I think it's so much about instinct. Everybody feels themselves differently. Your feeling of what you like in life, what you don't like, the kind of emotions you like to feel that you don't like to feel. And anytime you play a piece of music, you find in it certain things that you connect to. So it's very much about getting in touch with what you naturally want to do with the music, and there's a real sense of pleasure in that. And I think when you try and do the right way, it kind of, you don't have so much pleasure.
It feels limiting somehow.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing for me as well is like the more we look at the score and like the original writing, which is the score, hopefully, anyway, I feel like it becomes more and more free the further into it you get and the further you try to translate your own body instincts into what you're feeling when you look at the page. So it's a interesting, beautiful process.
There was also the first part to the question, how do we learn the piece?
I mean, I think just it's sort of an answer to, or combining what you guys both just said, but at least 4 of us are looking literally at the score while we're playing. So that gives us, I mean, and obviously Matt knows the score, but like basically in terms of like how we learn the piece and how we grow and learn from having played it a lot, and also looking at all the parts and how they weave into each other. That's kind of how I guess learn the piece, is by seeing how my part fits in, also by marking exactly with the red arrow where my line even is, because there's so many lines on this page. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
I just add one more thing. Somebody else asked what rehearsal this is for us. It's our 3rd, right? But we were able to play through the piece at this level from the first rehearsal. It's understood that everybody comes prepared with all of this knowledge already, the ability to play their own part and knowing what everybody else has. So in rehearsal, really what we're doing is figuring out a group unified interpretation. So that's actually, the 2 questions go really well together.
But if I could say one more thing about that. So the work that we did before, in order to get each of us to be able to play our part well, I mean, I think for everyone it's a bit different, but one of the fundamental things is you play slowly, because it's a little bit like when you learn to say the alphabet. You know, at first it takes a while, A, B, C, D, and gradually you do it again and again and again, and it becomes so familiar that you know, A, B, C, D, F, G. It's sort of like that with music. If you do it slowly, then gradually the patterns become familiar and you don't have to think about them. So I think that's a fundamentally helpful bit of it.
Wonderful answers. Thank you so much. I think we have time for one more question. Yes, here.
It's somewhat similar question about interpretation. It seems today you were working on that. And I wonder, do you ever strongly disagree with others? And what do you do with that?
This question also has to do with interpretation. So the question is, if you strongly disagree with others, does that happen and how do you resolve it?
There's a variety of solutions. There's a variety of solutions. You can argue, you can compromise, you can say yes, and then still play how you play.
I mean, I think the fugue's an interesting example because I think instinctively you want to go faster than we do. And I don't think there's going to be a kind of completely satisfactory solution for all of us in that. And so, yeah, it's often you do have to swallow certain things if you recognize that the majority want something, and then you do your best to embody it.
There's also something that can happen, which is pretty miraculous. Doesn't happen extremely often, but two people can disagree strongly. And at the end, you didn't decide on, you know, when you actually play the concert, because at the concert anything can happen, because anyone's free to make whichever decision they want to, in fact. But there cannot happen this person's suggestion or this person's suggestion, but a third alternative shows up, which feels gratifying to everyone. And sometimes it's like, wow, I hadn't even thought it could feel that way, you know? So there's a lot of beauty in the disagreements, I find.
And we learn so much.
Yeah. One last thing too is, I think what's so great about festivals like these and just being who we are, traveling and performing and working with new people, is that we get to play these pieces a lot. So even if you didn't get to have your interpretation this one time of a certain section, you'll get to do it again another time and try it with another group and see if they agree with you or not. But we're always constantly learning and trying new things.
Great point. Well, I hope you'll join us tomorrow for the concert to see the final results. And please join me in thanking these great musicians.
When are we doing something again?